What are three most important milestones in your science career?
I think the first was getting hired in an engineering school because I'm actually trained as an artist. So that was kind of the beginning of a switch for me. Then the second was getting hired particularly at MIT, at the MIT Media Lab. The third was developing systems that were really scaled to have a lot of different people imbricated in them.
What is your primary research focus?
At the moment, I'm primarily focused on developing technologies for community communication. So we've been basically looking to see how can communities, especially communities under some kind of threat, use ICT's, information communication technologies, to better empower themselves, represent themselves, be in dialogue, even when traditional media is failing in a lot of cases.
Which technology, which is nowadays well-known or maybe even old school, inspired you mostly?
I tend to be inspired by technologies that come with the premise of a community or a society first. Unfortunately, most of our technologies are about empowering individuals. So if you start thinking in bigger groups like society or now the planet, you're more likely to develop technologies that are beneficial for everyone.
Which of today's world crises do you consider to be the most urgent to solve?
Without a doubt, the most urgent problem that we're facing is global climate change.
Do we have the development of technologies under control?
In 1872, this author Samuel Butler wrote this beautiful book called Erewhon. In it, there's a shepherd who goes into a valley that no one's been to before and finds a lost civilization. And that civilization has basically given up machines, and so they're explaining to him why they've had to give up technology. And they make the argument that technology is using us to reproduce, and it's evolving much faster than we are. You know, he says, but technology can't reproduce, and they explain, no, but flowers can't reproduce either. They need bees, and we're the bees to the technology. And no one is hurt by throwing away technology as long as they buy newer technology, and that's how it serves in order to rule. And this is an amazing book from 1872. The origin of species, the idea of evolution, had only happened 5 years before, and immediately this guy saw that technology was evolving in this way, and that wasn't always necessarily in our interest.
Which vision of artificial intelligence do you consider to be feasible?
If you're asking whether artificial intelligence will create really smart machines, the answer is yes. I learned a long time ago that if you put enough money and enough people and brains into something, it'll eventually get discovered.
What evolution in AI do you think our generation will get to experience?
Unfortunately, there's no technology that benefits everyone all the time. I think with AI, it is potentially a very significant new technology that requires a tremendous amount of infrastructure. And so unfortunately, again, I think it's going to tend to help people with a lot of money and a lot of capital already to do even better.
What is the most challenging scientific question that hasn't been solved yet?
When science started, people like Francis Galton and Charles Darwin were battling, the church, essentially, for the right to say what the natural world was. And it was a fight. I mean, people were burned alive, right? And scientists were absolutely aware that their job was a political job in addition to looking at the natural world. Somewhere along the line in the 20th century, I think that science started having this kind of modernist idea that it was apolitical, that it was completely neutral. And scientists lost that will to fight for what was really important. And so I would say that the biggest challenge that science has to confront right now is that scientists need to repoliticize like those original scientists and say, hey, wait, no, we know what's happening to the planet right now. We know that these things are poison. We know that a variety of things that scientists know, and to really exercise their agency in the world in a way that they kind of gave up about 50 years ago.
What will the world and the society look like in 100 years?
My biggest concern is that society will be almost unrecognizable in 100 years.
How do you see science and research in Slovakia?
I'm no expert on science and research in Slovakia, but science needs transparency, it needs good governance, and it needs national support. It needs interconnections with other countries.
How do you like Bratislava and Slovakia?
Well, this is my second time to Slovakia, my first time in Bratislava, and I've been at a conference the entire time, so this is the most of the city that I've been able to see so far.